Until now in the references, what we were looking was the relative reference. That is, if we are giving a reference of a particular cell, that is, you can see C4. C4 is the reference given in the G9 cell, and when I am dragging, you can see the reference goes in the direction where I am dragging it. Now if you can see, if I drag this in the left direction, it will take the reference in the direction which I have dragged the cell. So this is the relative reference. Relative reference view is somewhat like this. You can see is equal to C4. Okay. Now we will move on to the absolute reference. In absolute reference, we have the dollar sign before the reference. You can see C4 is now into $C, $4. Dollar acts as a lock to that particular reference. So what I am going to do, I am adding a dollar to my reference, and I press Shift 4 in the formula bar and press enter, and now you can see my reference is now converted into the absolute reference, and now I am going to drag this reference. So you can see when I have dragged the reference, the number remained as it is. In whichever direction I drag it, the number will remain as it is. And now I am going to change the data of the C4 to 4. You can see the numbers have now changed to 4. So now you get the difference between relative reference and absolute reference. Further, we will go ahead and check out the first mixed reference, that is with column relative and row absolute. So in absolute reference, there is a dollar sign before the reference, and relative reference, there is no dollar sign. So the first mixed reference states the reference with column relative and row absolute. For that, I will show you. Here in the G9 cell, the data is in the absolute format, and now we have to make the column relative and row absolute. Row reference is the 4 number and the column reference is the C alphabet. So we have to make the column relative, that is, we will remove the dollar sign before C and press enter. Now you can see now there is no dollar sign before C and there is dollar sign before 4 reference, that is, row reference is now absolute and column is relative. And now let me check if I am dragging this cell into the row wise. Since there is a dollar before row, so it will not change and remain as it is. 4 will remain as it is, the number 4. And when I drag into the column wise, which is the relative, you can see the number is changing. Yes, in the number, yes, the number is changing. That is because the column wise it is free and it can move in the column wise direction. But row, since there is a dollar before 4, it has kept into the absolute format. In the same manner, you can see another mixed reference where row is relative and column is absolute. For that, we will do the same in a vice versa direction. We will do the same but vice versa, and I put a dollar sign before C reference and 4 is now relative. There is no dollar sign before 4, and I press enter. And now let me check in the row wise direction when I drag it. Oh yes, it is changing in the row wise direction. That is, the 4 is free and C is locked with the dollar sign. So let me check if I am dragging in column wise, it is not changing. That is, it is taking the reference of this cell every time. But in the row wise, it is changing. So you guys got the difference of absolute reference, relative reference, mixed reference with column relative and row absolute, and mixed reference with row relative and column absolute. So guys, you can try it. Till then we move on to our next tutorial.